Also, want to take a look at the markets because, we're not far from all-time highs on all the major indices. And the Dow's going to get a big help today from Caterpillar, posted record profits. I'll give you some of the details on that, but they're absolutely amazing. And by the way, hired 4,400 people in North America alone in the last 3 months. Apple, they report after the bell today. Are these techs going to keep going? And then, of course, there's Tesla, which has had been a real shaky ground. They're reporting profits on Wednesday. I want to bring in our stand-up money right now. Bring in market watcher Scott Martin. All right, Scott, first things first. Technology, all eyes on tech. I do want to say this. As we went into the weekend, Facebook is flat for the year. Amazon's up 55%. Apple's up 13%. Alphabet's up 18%. Netflix is still up 85%. So are these big tech names dead right now? Is it premature?
It's probably premature, Charles. I like those stats. You have the haves, the some haves, and then the have-nots. And frankly, the funny part about what you ran down there is that the have-nots really aren't doing too bad. They're just lagging a bit. But if you look at the overall market, depending on your favorite index, they're pretty close to the averages, some of the ones that are just on the bottom end of that performance range. So to me, yeah, it is a little premature, Charles. But when you look and talk about the Apple report coming up, you got to figure there's a lot of momentum building in this stock. Remember the big cash position they have, some of the development that they have behind the scenes that I think is going to start coming up in some of these earnings calls. To me, is what the market finally wants to see, is them start to spend that big cash pile. And we've seen that response in the stock so far as it traces up towards, say, that first $1 trillion company, which I believe is probably going to happen here in the next couple months, especially with a good earnings report coming out here shortly.
And by the way, that earnings report is after the bell tomorrow.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of folks are saying, hey, what do we buy if we don't buy these big tech names? So, Scott, I'm looking at cybersecurity, hack up 19%, semiconductors up only 10%, and software stocks up 24%. Any chance if there's rotation out of some of these bigger have-not names you just singled out, they can go to other areas of tech?
Yeah, they could. One that you've talked about a lot on your 6 p.m. show, Charles, is Palo Alto Networks, which is one that we've started to take a look at as well, which is in that hacking cybersecurity space. I think another one just top of mind is the industrial space today, because if you look at Cat's numbers, the fact that they're not that worried about tariff prices kicking in, or at least tariff impacts as far as how they're going to impact their prices because they're going to raise prices in response. A lot of these industrial names, if you look back to when the tariff talk really started heating up, say back in the beginning of May, a lot of these industrial companies got nailed. And Cat still has a way to go to get back to those levels. So to me, there's some real opportunity there.
Also, let's not forget, Cat, also the CFO, she used that term high watermark, insinuating it won't get any better than that. Well, of course, it has gotten better than that because, to your point, they just posted a number. They raised full-year outlook now to $12. Prior guidance was $11.25. During the quarter, their margins, this is most important, folks, profit margins at the end of 2016 were less than 8%. They're right now projecting them to go as high as 17%. Whenever margins expand like that, you can believe the stock is going to go higher. And also, Scott, they hired over 10,000 people around the world, including 4,400 here. So, yeah, the tariffs had an impact, but could you imagine if they had missed? The story would be tariffs, 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 but very few people are going to mention how great this company did and why you must fight these kind of battles when the economy is super strong like it is right now.
I agree. And some of the metrics you mentioned there, Charles, are absolutely outstanding. I mean, that margin expansion is ridiculous. This is a company, again, in a space, a worldwide industrial space that's really been hated on in the last several months. And so what you're going to see with a lot of these companies that if you just track them versus the S&P, they're well underperforming. And so as you see these companies start to report better numbers, start to be a little bit more, say, optimistic, that's going to reflect in the stock prices going forward. So I think Cat's is certainly a buy today.
All right, Scott, thanks very much. Hey, I want to stay on the